All right, so in this video, I'm going to be brutally honest. So if you're someone that can't really handle the truth, I suggest you just click off now. So you've seen the title of the video, and I'm not really sparing anything in this video. So most people in tech or that want to get into tech are looking for a shortcut. You're looking for a faster course, a faster roadmap, a secret tool that might have been missed. And don't get me wrong, the internet makes it way worse. Seeing videos like learn data analytics or learn software engineering in 90 days, 3 months, and I've made some of these videos as well. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Those can definitely provide value, and they do provide value, but some of them are taken with no actual context. And the reason is because after you watch the video, you're kind of stuck with your own devices and you're responsible for holding yourself accountable. So you may be asking, who is this guy? So my name is Zazo, and I've been in data analytics for 4 years. At this point, I'm currently a senior data analyst, and previously I worked in software engineering. So I have almost about a decade of knowledge and experience in the tech field. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I grew up in an Asian American household. My mom is Chinese and Cambodian, and my stepfather, who I mainly grew up with, is black. So we lived in the ghetto, and my mom basically told me I only have two choices as a career, and that was going to be either a lawyer or a doctor. Tech didn't even cross my mind. It wasn't something that I was allowed to do. So I definitely didn't grow up coding. I barely even really used technology as a kid. So I come from a place where technology isn't necessarily the forefront of things that were in the household. So when I finally made it to tech, or when I decided to actually go into tech, there are a lot of questions that really, passed my mind. Like, am I already behind? Or did I already miss my chance to get into tech? And I know that you're going through some of these same questions yourself. But the bad thing about that is that mindset actually made me chase all of these different shortcuts. So I was right where you were, looking for that video where things would just click. But I'm here to tell you, like I said, I was going to be brutally honest, that is not how it works. If you're just surfing through videos trying to find a shortcut, I'm sorry to tell you that it will not. No matter how good the roadmap is, no matter how good the video is, that in itself is not going to work. What I suggest is stop asking what is the fastest way, because that's all relative based on the person. Are there people that can get hired in 60, 90 days? Yes, of course there are. But for most people, and depending on where you come from or someone like me, I definitely did not get into tech within 60, 90, or whatever type of days. Is it possible? For sure. But is it likely? Not really. Not for everybody, I should say. So what you really want to focus on is thinking clearly, solving messy problems, and explaining your thinking. Those skills stack over time, no matter if you're in software engineering or data analytics, and I'm proof of that. And just because you don't have a shortcut or you don't have the most optimized path to your solution doesn't mean that you're not making progress. It doesn't make you any less smart or anything like that. It just means sometimes when you're spinning your wheels and you're, constantly doing stuff and being really messy and scrappy at the beginning, it's progress. It's just very hard to see. But when you accept that and just live in that and enjoy that journey, things get a whole lot easier. So a lot of people think that if this feels hard, then I must not be right for tech or analytics or software engineering. But this is what silently kills momentum. And this is a real problem with people nowadays. Just because something is hard doesn't mean that you're not for it, because a lot of things in life are hard, right? Life is hard. So just because things get hard doesn't mean that it's not necessarily for you. It just means some things are worth working for and some aren't. But if you quit just because things get hard, like I said, I'm going to be honest, you are not going to do anything worth meaning ever in your life if you quit every time something gets a little hard or challenging. I mean, I will admit it, tech is tough, and I've thought about quitting multiple different times. Tools are always changing, concepts are always changing, new ways of thinking. Everything is ever evolving and changing. That's what makes tech one of the hardest things to get into, but it's well worth it because of, the different types of perks. Yes, you can quit, you can stop, you can get a regular job, you can get something that is, McDonald's, or you can work at one of these places. No offense to anybody that works there. Everybody chooses their own destiny. And if you want anything, if you want to become a business owner, you want to do this, you want to do that, you have to do things that most of the people are not willing to do. Point blank, period. There's no shortcut for that. And don't get me wrong, I know that this is tough, especially when you're probably already working full time or you're managing life, other responsibilities, and you're constantly comparing yourself to others online. I have almost a 7-month daughter. I have a 7-month-old daughter. I have a wife. I have a 9 to 5. I have a bunch of these same responsibilities, and yours may be more or less. But at the end of the day, I'm enjoying the grind. I'm enjoying the process of whatever I'm doing. You may say, well, you already have a job. And that's true. But it wasn't always like this. So things are hard. And I don't know who said this quote, but I heard it and it really stuck with me. So, well, it's not a quote, kind of just a way of thinking. But a lot of people, yourself probably included, you want a 1% life. You want the money, you want the freedom, you want all of these different perks and privileges, but you're not willing to do outside of what the normal person would do. So you're trying to live a top 1% lifestyle, but you're just doing normal, regular stuff every day. It doesn't work like that. If you want to be the top 1%, you have to work and do things that the top 1% do. And that's just how it is. So I say all that to say, you just have to work harder than everybody else. So all the stuff that you're seeing, the same roadmaps that you're getting and completing and just checking it off like a list, everybody else is doing that as well. So I remember feeling constantly behind when joining tech. At first, it was in software engineering. I came into the role and not knowing what was going on. I had just learned some coding and I was coding along the way, and I understood code at that time to very deep degree. At least that's what I thought. But when I joined, I'd seen a lot more people that were smarter than me, faster than me, that had more confidence than me, that spoke with confidence. There was a whole lot of things that I was lacking. And of course, the natural thought is maybe I'm just not built for this. Maybe I have to be built different, right? Maybe I have to come from that MIT background, that Harvard background, whatever it may be. And the key to like those people, they weren't special. Now there are some special ones, but they weren't special. The only thing is they stayed in that uncomfortable period and that grind period for a lot longer than I did. And just remember, just because something is hard doesn't mean you're incapable. Sometimes it just means you're learning. So here's the next thing. You probably are trying to master everything. That's why you watch video on video on video about what's the best thing to learn. Every tool, every language, every trend. And this leads to burnout. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you're never going to know everything. Shocker. But you're never going to know everything. And tech is ever evolving and always changing so quickly, it's not possible. So here's the reality. Tools change, job titles change, expectations change. About 5 years ago, now you see AI engineers everywhere. And specifically in data analytics, it used to be basically you were just a report builder and you just sent out the same reports every week on certain days. And that was it. Now, companies are expecting you to build out pipelines, automate data pools and data feeds, and not just do the reports, but being able to speak to the reports with higher level executives and show impact and all of these different things. Yes, things are changing. Things are getting harder, and that's okay. My thing is do you really want it? Will you adapt, or will you just accept defeat and go do something else just because you're not built for this? I've watched roles blur within these last 4 years, from analyst to data engineer to data scientist. And I've seen a whole bunch of things. Even though you have one title, you do pretty much everything. I've seen it firsthand. And what normally separates people is not the tools that they're using. It's, can they explain what matters? Can you connect data to business decisions? And can you help someone, the business, take action? And it's the same thing with software engineering as well, right? Can you write code and write systems, use AI to help you to build stuff that actually matters and that actually impacts the business? So you should never really be going on the what tool is best to learn next. You can get really caught up in the cycle. I got caught up in the cycle, and it's just a means to an end. You will always constantly be learning new tools, But the good thing is, or the thing you want to do is be employed while learning those new tools. So I'm going to leave you with this. Getting into tech isn't about being the smartest, having the perfect background, and learning everything fast. Matter of fact, I am the proof that you don't need to do any of these. I wasn't the smartest. I didn't go to school for computer science. I didn't have the perfect background. I'm not even supposed to be where I'm at right now. I'm supposed to be a doctor or lawyer. Remember that. And it took me years to learn how to code, right? A lot of people nowadays are learning to code within months. But the key is it's about staying consistent, building confidence through your repetition, and letting clarity come after you actually take action. So I'll leave you with that. Love, peace, and chicken grease. I'm out.